Welcome everyone to the Deal Finder Corner. So this is your weekly property talk show brought to you by Property Filter, hosted by myself, Guillaume Black, your favorite Frenchman, CEO and co-founder at Property Filter. So as you know, it's the UK's highest rated platform to find deals. And we're on a mission to empower our property investor and deal sourcing members to find yet again 1,000 deals this year, thanks to the Property Filter blueprint. And the purpose really with this Deal Finder Corner is to give you more and the best of the available resources by inviting expert guests who will share with you the latest and most current strategies, tactics and secrets about what actually works right now in terms of finding and making deals and the reality of systemizing and running a high performance business in property. So it really is my pleasure to introduce you on today's Deal Finder Corner, my very good friend, James Wyatt. So James is a full-time property and business mindset coach, known affectionately as the Impossible Coach. He specializes in working with clients who set seemingly impossible and unreachable goals. His career began with buying and revitalizing, returning around struggling businesses, transforming them into successful, profitable enterprises where the employees thrived in their new role, and that suited also them as well as the business, perfectly, and everything worked in good harmony for growth. So after 14 years of turning businesses around, he transitioned into one-to-one mindset coaching and his property and business, in property and in business as well. So he has a true talent in bringing the best out of people, helping them become the best version of themselves and uncovering their unique abilities. So he decided to help individuals achieve their highest potential and realize their impossible dreams. So really what you can expect from today's Deal Finder Corner is how you can set 10x goals after discovering your true power, and how you'll be empowered after today's talk, and how you can achieve wealth, financial independence, as well as wealth in terms of health-life balance. And we'll have a really cool Q&A time as well. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing more about James' talk today, genuinely, and listening to what he's got to share and taking loads of notes. So please give a massive Property Filter virtual welcome to Mr. James Wyatt.
What a welcome. Thank you so much, Guillaume.
No, you're welcome.
To be here.
Thank you so much. Let me share my screen for you, and then let me know Let me know how you want to move.
Yeah. Okay. So really, this is about unlocking the power of mindset in property investing, and it also works for business and for fitness goals. But as it's a property related program, I thought I would make it property related and bring up the text. Yeah. So really, I wanted to introduce myself. I'm a full-time property and business mindset coach. As Guillaume said, I'm affectionately known as the Impossible Coach, because I like to work with people that have what appears to them as impossible goals. So, and it's a real joy to see people achieve their goals and their passions and their visions, and I like to be a part of that. So my background was buying and selling businesses, and what I found I had a talent for was getting the best out of people, because people are the business. If people are, happy to come into work, if they're joyful in their work, if they're in the right roles, then you will get a successful business on the back of that. So, when I discovered that I could turn struggling businesses around from, bottom of the pile to award-winning businesses, I thought, I could transform this. I could sort of get into mindset full time. So that's where I am. In terms of the property journey, property is a really, really good asset class. It's a really, really clever way of getting income in while you're sleeping. And at the end of the day, that's the best form of asset. If you're working a 9 to 5, then ultimately you're charging out your hourly rate. And there's only so much money you can earn in a day based on your hourly rate. So really, we need to leverage up through having, more people around us working for us, or we have capital. But essentially, assets that are bringing you income while you sleep is really what we're all after. So that's probably the reason most of us got into property. So if you could go on to the next slide for me, please, Guillaume. Okay, so really, mindset and property are connected, and I think it's the biggest thing in property. Quite often I get asked by people who have the knowledge, but they just don't take the action. So it's really mindset is the gap between the knowing and the doing. Okay. And, you know, and it really does start with, you know, the way that we view ourselves. So, and the other thing I would really recommend to everybody is when you start something, don't expect the finish line to be right there. Okay. We start stuff, and as we begin the journey, which is half the fun, you know, we adapt and we flow, and the finish line will eventually show. So, you know, and a great example of that is if you are doing a educational program, let's say you're doing deal sourcing or something like that. You really want to get on with getting into that straight away. You don't want to be waiting for the course to come to the end, because like I said, then we're waiting for the finish line. We're looking for an excuse. We're looking for any particular reason we can think of not to actually get involved. So really that's a mindset thing. So if you are starting an educational program, on, you know, day one, implement those things, okay, while they're still bright in your mind. So that's a really, really good top tip there. So I could have the next slide, please, Gil. Okay, so what I did is I sat down and realized that mindset, the word mindset, could be used for an acronym for all of the little pieces that can chip away at having good mindset. Remember, mindset is not a switch. It's not something you can switch on. It's a series of switches. It's a series of things that we can do. Guillaume, could I have all of the bullet points, please? Okay, so this is the most powerful one. This is the one that we really want to be spending all of our time on, because this is the image that we have. This is how we present ourselves to the world, our personal awareness. How do others see us? Okay, now this is you know, this is a personal thing, and it's also about how much appreciation we have for ourselves, because I think that sometimes just looking in the mirror and having a good old, you know, look into your own eyes and just asking yourself, are you appreciated by yourself? You know, do you show up? Do you put the effort in? Is there some development that we can do? Okay. Now, if you think about property, for example, we buy property, we add value, and it's worth more in the main. Okay. So we can actually do that with our personal development. We can add value to ourselves, and we can become more worthy, because worthiness, how we see ourselves, is really crucial. You know, how we present ourselves when we walk into a room. How do we feel about ourselves? What's our power? You know, quite often people say to me, you know, the people that are in property, they walk into a room and you can sense they're in the room. They have this power, okay? Well, that's because they believe in their ability. They're human beings like the rest of us. We all have that power within. And it just starts with appreciation and just really spending some time on development. And sometimes, you know, I'm not saying this is the answer, but sometimes, me personally, I work on 4 areas that can help with that. And the first one is family. You know, spending time with family, having fun with family, you know, and really making sure that you're fit and healthy, and you're running a really clean life. You've got high standards, and also you are capable of being financially independent. So, you know, you don't have to work a 9 to 5. You've got that power within to be whoever you are. So I think personal development, self-appreciation is really high on my list, okay? And of course, that's that awareness of where we are in the world, how others see us, you know, our responsibility to our lives. You know, what is our ability to respond to things? You know, do we show up and be the best versions of us? Okay. Are we lucky? You know, are we good in the world? You know, do we see ourselves as a high, adding value to the people around us? So it's really, really important that we have, you know, great personal development. And one of the keys to my personal development, my appreciation, is I start a day with gratitude. You know, when we open our eyes and we've got another day in front of us, you know, we should really be grateful for that. Some people don't have that. Some people don't have the opportunities that we have. Some people can't, you know, jump out the house and go for a run. Some people can't do the things that we take for granted. So Gratitude is one of the biggest things I would say I do first thing in the morning. And then while I'm sort of you have to go with me a bit here, it's a bit sort of woohoo, some of the stuff that I do, but when we're in a sleepy state, our brains are very receptive to ideas and imagination. So quite often that's a really good time to have a meditation, okay? To really get into a self-loving appreciation, maybe a new world that you live in. Maybe things are going really well in this world. And I try and think of the things that I've done particularly well. I never think of the things that I've done badly, okay? And it's really important that you live in the moment, because the future is full of fear and the past is full of sadness. So it's in the moment. Beautiful meditation, time for you. Really, really important that. So that's really why I'd start my day. And then of course we would be looking at, eating well, presenting yourself in the best version that you can be. Okay, so that's quite a lot there, just on the actual, waking up and starting the day. So then we're going to move on to something that we all are well aware of, and that is vision and goals. Okay, and they're two different things. Okay, now vision is what you see yourself as a successful person in the future. That is your vision. That is your overall picture. Now it's individually different for all of us. Okay, so you might picture yourself, on a desert island with your family, having fun and going on lots of trips and not having to worry about money. Or, you're on your own. Perhaps your vision is you're traveling the world, or perhaps you're doing a job that is really fulfilling and really strikes high on your moral compass. So it's the vision of you at your very best. If you had a magic wand, what would you see yourself as? We call that our future self. Okay, now that is your vision. It's a very, very powerful thing as well, because if you can get yourself into that future self, quite often staring back at the person that's sitting here right now can make you sit up straight. It can actually start to have an impact on what you do. It certainly did for me, because me personally, I had this vision that I wanted to get a bit fitter. I found myself sitting at a desk too much. I wasn't really looking after my vehicle, my body. Remember, we've only got one of these, so we should look after it. And I saw that my future self was fit and healthy, and it actually had an impact on what I ate that day and the way that I thought that day, and it gave me the desire to go and do some fitness. So really powerful that is, that we have visions, and visions need to be full of emotion. You've got to feel those visions. I mean, I think when I first started out trying to think about a good vision, I struggled with imagination. I struggled to actually imagine a good enough vision. And maybe that's because when we were brought up as children, me in particular, we're brought up, I think on average, a teenager's heard no 10,000 times or 100,000 times. So we're conditioned to listen to the word no, to actually doubt ourselves and to think no all the time. So in a strange kind of way, our imagination has been chipped away at by society, by maybe the people around us. I don't know, it's a personal thing. But what I do know is that the lid on our imagination comes down and down and down. When you're a child, we all know that when we were kids, our imagination was amazing. We had imaginary friends, we'd be playing with things. Imagination is so wonderful in children, and I don't really know why it's lost along the way. So vision and imagination, key here, okay? And by adding emotion to it, you really do know if it's the right vision for you. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and to get to that vision, we set goals. And goal setting is something I hope we all do. I hope that I have a goal card that I carry around. So maybe I've got some short-term goals on there, and I'll take my goal card out and I'll read it and I'll imagine what it's like to be part of that new vision. So goal cards are really important. Your goals should be written down on your desk like mine are now. You read them every day. You're literally, you're imagining it, you're feeling it, you're putting it out there into the universe. So the goals are really important, and the goals can be the stepping stones to your vision. So if I was starting out writing goals, I would be really really conscious of not making them too big in the short term. But I want you to make the long-term ones, those 10-year goals. I want them to be impossible. I want them to be so far out there that nobody would ever believe you. I want you to think about putting a cafe on the moon. Okay? Because by getting used to that thinking, getting used to that right out there thinking, you'll be amazed, what happens and what starts to develop for you. And again, once we've worked on personal development, we've got real appreciation for ourselves. We respect our bodies. We're eating well. We're sleeping well. We've got, we understand how important fun, fitness, financial independence is. Then we can really work on the outer world, because when all of those things are settled within, that's what we see on the outside. The inner does reflect the out. And I'm going to give you an example of this, okay? When I was a delivery driver back in, the beginning of 2000, so I was a delivery driver. So I would load up in the morning with all my parcels and go breakneck speed into a town and have to get rid of all these parcels. And I did enjoy the job, I'll be honest with you, because actually giving somebody a parcel is actually quite a nice thing, because it feels like you're giving somebody a present. So you always had this appreciation for your gifts. But there was one particular morning where I was very late for my premium. So I was really sort of struggling to get into town. And there was a big traffic jam, as there quite often is as you come into town. And it's like a ring road, as most of them are. And I'm sitting in the traffic thinking, come on, I need to get to these deliveries. And somebody's come right across all 3 lanes, and they've literally cut me off, literally gone straight across the front of my wagon. And I'm like, whoa, this is the worst. Yeah, I'm like, I'm like fired up. My ego's going, did you see that? That's terrible. You should, that's offensive and all these things. So I'm really quite angry about it. And I sort of now I've got that like a hot stone in my hand. Okay. And anger and annoyance and bad feeling is like a hot stone in your hand. And all you're really doing is waiting to give it to somebody else, because you've been a victim. Okay. So I get to my first drop and I've got the ump, and nothing's going right, and the lock on the van's not working. And you can see how the inner, the way that I felt inside, was affecting my outer. Okay. So what I did was I realized that I needed to change the way I was affected by things. So what I do now is whenever something happens to me when I'm out on the road, I just imagine that it's one of my relatives. Maybe it's my mum. Maybe she's trying to get to a hospital appointment. Maybe it's my brother. Maybe it's my sister. So when you personalize it as a family member, then you can forgive them. And the minute you forgive them is the minute you do not carry that hot stone for the rest of the day. Okay? So it's a really, really good example of inner reflecting outer. Guillaume, could you move on to the next slide for me, please? So really, and the reason mindset is being used the acronym, because this is a 7-day program. So Monday would be for myself, mindfulness, and the letter I really does strike me as your intuition. Okay, now it's not just gut feeling, it's actually our senses. We've become really good at our vision sense. We're really good at looking at mobile phones and pretty much given up on the rest in a lot of ways. So I would go back and reconnect with your senses. And one of the best ways of doing this is obviously getting out into nature. Okay. So what I particularly do is I use my eyes to see different colors. So I might be looking for browns, and I'll describe the browns, the different browns, the light browns, the dark browns. And it's funny how you start to notice that particular color that you're focused on. Okay, so we're using our eyes, we're training it to understand our senses, and also our ears. Sometimes again, it's really healthy to do this in nature because of the energy that nature has. So if you've got the luxury of a waterfall or something like that, then if you stand next to flowing water and you listen, you can hear the water lapping over the rocks, and you can hear the birds tweeting. So you're really practicing to use your senses. And obviously you want to go through all 5 of your senses. And then what you'll find is that you will start to become intuitive. You'll start to understand that trusting your gut feeling is a good thing. You know, we all use our gut feelings, but maybe we don't rely on them. We don't trust them. You know, maybe sometimes we choose to ignore our gut feeling because we don't want to deal with that. So really trusting your gut feeling is something that I do, very much so. And an example of that is I was really struggling to come to a decision about a property that I bought maybe 2 years ago now. It's a very famous story where I literally was in 2 minds. I couldn't work out yes or no. And it's very unlike me. I'm a great decision maker, but I literally couldn't work it out. And it was going to auction and I really had 5 minutes to make my mind up. So I drove to I was already at the property and I just put my hand on the building. And I just stood there for a minute and I just thought, can I use my gut feeling? How does it feel? The numbers were fine, but I just wasn't sure because it wasn't something I'd done. It was a commercial to residential, hadn't done that before. So there was a little bit of fear maybe. And I just put my hand on the building. Do you know what? I thought, yes, let's do it. And that gave me the impetus to get on there and I won the bid. So I won the property and the property's fine. It's worked out fine. You know, property is a journey. Sometimes, like I said earlier, if you're looking for the finish line at the start, you're just never going to get going. So property can develop as it goes along. It can have, you know, you can transform it into different things. Okay. So that moves me on to clarity. Now, clarity is that word that we all want and we all strive to find, and it's not an easy word to deal with. In fact, a lot of courses will start, you know, with clarity because we really want to understand what is your passion, what is it that you want to do, how clear are you on your goals and your vision. So, and the reason I put clarity 2 sides is because of this. It will not be a 5-minute thing working out what's clear for you, what is your clarity. But we need to understand what we need to be careful that we don't have a vision of what other people expect us to do. We call it a 2-sided clarity. So for example, I had a friend that had doctors as parents. So it was expected and clear in her mind that she would be a doctor. But really she was being a doctor because that was what she was expected to do. So that's why I call it 2 sides of clarity. So we have a clarity about what we really want to do, what our heartfelt intentions are. And then we have this other where what others expect from us. Okay. Now, when I ran my businesses, my staff, they always expected me to turn up and be this great boss like Guillaume is, and be a leader. So you're expected to have this sort of this vision. But that might not be for you. Maybe you inherited a business. Maybe you don't want to do that business anymore. Maybe you found something else you want to be involved in. So that's why I do mention that, you know, be clear on your clarity. Okay. And of course, inner wisdom and guidance, that does come from experience. You know, we tend to know what we don't want to do. If we do something long enough, we start to sort of resent what we're doing. So again, trust your wisdom, trust that fact that you've got that, you know, you've got that guidance within. And in property, this is something you must recognize. That's red flags. Okay. So if you think about when you're getting into property, we have to do our due diligence, don't we? Quite often we are perhaps in a JV or we're looking at the numbers. And I know for sure that there are 3 things in property we need to be aware of. Quite often we pay too much for a property, we underestimate the development costs, and we overestimate the GDV. Okay, so if you recognize, if you're thinking, you know what, I'm just forcing this to work, there's something I'm not sure about, it's probably a red flag. But don't think it's fear. It isn't fear. It's a feeling. It's a gut feeling. Fear is something else. This is intuition. Okay. Guillaume, if you could go on to the next slide for me, we're going to go on to N for network. Really, obviously, this is you know, pretty key. Networking. You know, who's in your phone, what sort of networking events you go to. Obviously, this is property related. And this is one of the biggest tips I can give everybody is go networking. Go to different kinds of networking. Go networking when it's freezing cold, raining outside, and you can't be bothered, because those are the ones where I promise you, you will meet somebody that will make a big impact on your life. Yeah, because it's comfort zone stuff. If everything's too easy and it's just a breeze, you're probably not going to grow. You know, comfort zone, or I call it arena work, where we're really in the arena. We're not a spectator. We're really taking part, grabbing our opportunities. It starts with networking, because, you know, doing stuff on your own is one thing, but when you've got the collaboration of others, that's really powerful. That's when 1 + 1 = 3. Okay. You're not going to be able to do this stuff on your own. It's critical that you have the right network and the right contacts and be in the right peer groups. Because, you know, when I'm looking to form relationships with service partners, and don't get me wrong, when I first started out, found some cowboy builders, found some people that weren't really aligned to me. And it really is difficult to find great service partners, but you will in the end. You will in the end, because as I'll talk about in the next slide, we talk about our tribe, our frequency, people that are aligned with our values and our energy. So, you know, I wouldn't just smash and grab a service partner. I really would spend some time being around them, look at some of their work, really get an understanding of who they are, and then say to them that you're looking to build long-term relationships. You're not looking for smash and grab. You're not looking for a quick buck. You don't want to be, you know, win-lose or lose-win. It wants to be a win-win for life. So choosing the right service partners is really, really good. And one of my top tips here is go and speak to the speaker at events, because they are more than likely going to have that network that you could use if it's aligned with you. But quite often they've got the good guys, if you like, or good girls. And I'll give you a really good example of that. When I went to, I used to go networking in London, and that from Newcastle was a fair trip. Okay, that's a 4.5-hour trip. But I went all the way to London because there was a networking event about SASs, which is a pension scheme, a pension fund where you can basically, you know, use your own pension. Never heard about it before, didn't know anything about it. So I go to this SAS meeting and the guest speaker's talking away, and I sat there for an hour and I didn't get any of it. Not one bit. Didn't understand a bit of it. So I thought I better go and speak to the speaker and see if he can sort of give me some advice on how I can really get into it. So I went and spoke to Paul, and we got on really well. And we had a great conversation. And then, you know, I didn't have the courage at the time to take his contact details. I don't know why that was. It's different now. And we went our separate ways. And then about a month later, the same talk come up to Darlington. Can you believe it? So instead of having to go 4 hours, I was only 4 minutes up the road. So I went to the same event and Paul did his speech, and I'll be brutally honest, I still didn't get it. So I went to the front and I said, "Hi, Paul. Do you remember me?" "Oh, yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you're that high energy guy. I met you in London, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Look, Paul, if you're not heading back tonight, if you're going back tomorrow, I wonder if you might come past my house and just give me an understanding, you know, give me a sort of a private session on how SASs work." So I had the conviction and courage to ask him. Do you know what he said? He said yes. So I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh my God, he's coming to my house and I'm going to have this one-to-one sort of session. So he came to my house and he's, you know, we had a coffee and he said, "Right, okay, let's clear your whiteboard." I've got my whiteboard in the office. And we set about explaining a SAS and how it was, you know, relevant for me. And in 5 minutes, he's worked out my entire structure and business and this and that in 5 minutes. I mean, that would be thousands of pounds if you had to get an accountant to do that. So just because I had the courage to go and ask him, just because I had the courage to follow it up, just because I had the courage to get out of my comfort zone, can you see what I got rewarded with there? And that is what we want to be doing. We want to be getting out of our comfort zone, getting out of our own way as much as we can. So that's a really, really good story there. And of course, education. You know, getting into property is it's fairly easy to get into property. Actually, it's easy to buy a house. It's easy to do those bits and pieces. But we really want to be educated on what we're coming up against, because as Guillaume knows, and as most of you know, buying property is not just a simple case of conveyancing. There are plenty of, creative ways of buying property. I didn't know what motivated sellers were. I didn't understand what purchase options were. I didn't know anything about property other than a buy-to-let principle. So I would strongly recommend that you get educated, and there are lots and lots of educational companies out there. Just find the one that you resonate with, the one that you really do feel part of, okay? And then you want to get support, people around you that are doing what you're doing. Because there's going to be some dark days. There's going to be some days where you think, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Who do I think I am? Imposter syndrome, all of those things, procrastination. But when you've got somebody that you can call or go and see or be part of a group, my goodness, that is so, so powerful. Okay? So education, support. And then if you really want to fast track it, then you get yourself a coach or a mentor, someone that's doing what you're trying to do, someone that is already there, someone that sees the road ahead and makes sure you're on the right road. Okay, I have a coach, Guillaume has a coach. We never stop investing in ourselves. We never stop going on educational programs, and I like to think that as a coach, you're in someone's corner. You can confide in them. They're there for you no matter what. So it's really, really important that we all get our coaches. Okay, can I have the next letter, please, Guillaume? Thank you very much. Driving force. Wow, this is it. This is why you're all here, because you want to make a change. You want to change some of your life or all of your lives. I don't know. But you've got a burning desire, a driving force inside you to make a change. And if we can work out what we're passionate about, and when you're passionate about something, you make it look easy. Other people look at what you're passionate about and they go, oh, I can't stand doing that. I don't know, maybe you're passionate about spreadsheets. Maybe you're passionate about customer service. Maybe you're passionate about going on stage. I don't know. Whatever it is that's going to get you out of bed, get you up before the alarm clock, get you racing into it, that's going to be your passion. And passion and property are really, really important. It's the reason that I do my soulful stage. I'm very passionate about spiritualism. I'm very passionate about customer centricity. So for property, when I combine the two, it was pretty obvious that I wanted to get into soulful service accommodation. And me in particular, I want to build a hotel brand called Soulful Stays. Okay, I want people to know that when they stay in a soulful stay, it's going to lift them. They're going to feel better. And we're going to get into a little bit more of that and how we can make that happen further on. So passionate. What is your driving force? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it so that you can have the choices to do what you want to do? I should think it probably is. Because when we don't have to go to work to earn money to put food in the fridge, when we're doing the stuff that we're passionate about and we're getting paid for it, we call that happy money, then we've got the choices to do what we want to do. I know people that run businesses from various parts of the world on Zoom calls, and they've got the right team doing the right things. So they're not working in the business, they're working on the business. And it's a very, very effective way of having a really good life. And when we're passionate, when we understand what our driving force is, then we really do lift the lid off our capacity. What are we capable of? You have a power within that is as big as Elon, that is as big as, the Amazon man, anybody you can think of. They're human beings. They've just used that driving force, that power, that passion successfully. And you can do that as well, okay? Because that is where true success comes from. Following your passion, your driving force. I really can't stress enough how you should be really buzzing. The hairs on your neck should be going when you think about what you're going to be doing, what you're passionate about. Because emotion and passion and driving force and intention and goal and vision, wow, you really do get to where you want to get to when you are using those ingredients. And I wanted to put at the bottom here how compliments, both negative and positive, are really powerful. So let me give you an example. I think it was Michelangelo, one of the famous artists, that he couldn't go to school because his mother and father weren't in marriage. Back then, they couldn't go to school. I think if you're illegitimate, you couldn't go to school. So he was left at home from a young age to do nothing. So what he did, because his father was a notary, he had access to pen and paper. So he used to go out into the fields and the woods, and he would draw stuff. And he was drawing stuff at an early age, and he just got really, really good at that. And when they finally let him into school, the teacher said to him, "Oh my God, your drawing is phenomenal. It's really good." So he got that compliment set in his mind, and he had that compliment in his mind. And then he used it to bring out the talent in him, to really go on and use it. So if we use positive compliments, we can really achieve a lot more, okay? And they can come from anybody at any time. And it's the same for negative. Negative can be used to get us just as fired up. You know, "James, you're never going to be anything in your life. You're no good at this. You're no good at that." Well, that's when you say, "Well, watch me try. Watch me prove you wrong." That is what I mean by a negative compliment. Okay. And I want you all to do this for me. There's one little thing I'd love you all to do, and I bet very few of you do it. I want you to have a whole day of complimenting strangers. Okay, so I want you to go into I don't know, whatever you do first thing, maybe you go into a coffee shop, and I want you to compliment the person behind the counter or the person in front of you. And I don't mean it in a creepy kind of way. I'm like saying, "You've got lovely eyes. You've got beautiful, beautiful smile. Your hair is lovely. If you don't mind me asking, just have a little conversation." Now, it's easy for me in the Northeast because everybody talks to everybody else. And obviously, when I lived in Essex, it was like, people were like looking at you as if you're going to sort of rob them or something. But it's a really good thing to do, is just spend a whole day, and I hope you remember to do this, spend a whole day giving somebody and everybody you meet a compliment. You will notice that there is this lifting, this frequency, this change in you and in them. Because when you can put a smile on somebody else's face, when you make a difference, it lifts them. Okay? Really, really nice thing to do. Can we have the next letter, please? I think this is going to be one of Guillaume's favourites. This is because S is for systems, okay? And there he is at the top, property filter. Look, we all have unique ability. We all are good at certain things, and we're maybe not so good at other things. So there is a world of automation out there. There is a world of software out there. There's a world of stuff out there that you can do. I mean, you look at the passion that Guillaume's got for Property Filter. We can just sign up for that, log in for that, and we can use Guillaume's passion in our everyday lives. Why wouldn't we? Why on earth would we want to go through all of that, ringing agents, trying to find motivated sellers, when there's automation for it? So it's an absolute no-brainer. Find yourself the right system and get those motivated sellers coming to you. And obviously, we've all heard of the book by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy, Who Not How. If you haven't, get it on Audible, have a listen, because it's really about, it stops you from sitting at a desk with your head in your hands thinking, how can I do this? It's not what you should be saying. You should be saying, who can do it for me? Who has the skill set that I don't? Okay. Now, I haven't put it in the slide, but there's a really, really good online sort of thing that you can do to work out what your unique ability could be. I'm not saying that we are pigeonholed in any way, because I truly believe we can be anything we want to be. But there's something called Wealth Dynamics that you can go on, and it does a little test on 4 areas, and you're really going to get an idea of what you perhaps don't like at this stage. And it might be spreadsheets, or it might be public speaking, it might be dealing with customers, it might be that you're very creative. But there is a wonderful system called Wealth Dynamics, so I would strongly recommend you go on there and work out, roughly what you like doing, okay? Because software is here to make your life easier. You've got Coho for CMOs, you've got Property Filter, you've got Property Pipeline Pro, you've got loads of stuff that can help you, systemize your business. Because if you're not systemized, if you're concentrating on what you're not good at because there isn't, I'm trying to do this and it's not going well, just recognize that and outsource it straight away. I've got 2 VAs. Guillaume's got VAs. If you think you need a VA, by the way, it's too late. You definitely need a VA, because then you can free up your time to be really laser focused on what you're good at. Your unique ability, what the thing that is your thing, you're passionate about, what you're really good at, what you show up for and be the best version of you doing. And I really wanted to pop this in there because in the brand world, we call this standardization, where everything is the same, no matter where you go in the world for that particular brand. And I worked for DPD for a number of years. And I was involved in the 1-hour delivery window, actually. So I was one of the pioneers that brings you your parcel within a 1-hour window. And you know why I was chosen for that? It's because my depot was the first one to actually achieve it 100%. So in the billion-pound business that DPD is, I was asked to talk to all of the franchisees and the managers on why you have achieved it and no one else can. And I said to them, it's because I believed in it. If the leader believes in it, then it will filter down. So you have to have real commitment, real, this is going to happen as a leader of a business. And that's all it was. I just believed in us, okay? So DPD is a good example of brand. They are absolutely passionate about brand. They are obsessed with it. They want to make sure that your experience is the same, whether it's being delivered to, Greece or America or the UK. And I think that you probably do realize that all their vans are lovely and clean. Their drivers are in uniform and they're very, very, very customer centric. So, if you're going to get into a brand, then you really want to look at standardization. Okay. So let's move on to scalability. Yes, of course. If you think about Uber, for example, okay. Now Uber brought something to the market that we didn't think we needed until it was here, and then we all wanted it. So scalability, Uber definitely did that, didn't it? It was able to scale it out on a big scale because it had the systems, it had the capital, and it had the right brand. Okay, so S is really important. So let's move on to environment. Environment is our surrounding. Okay, that's everything in our local area. And quite often our workspace at work is really important that we have, a tidy desk, clear vision on what we're trying to do. And if we are sharing desks and bits and pieces, you really want to make sure that you are comfortable at your workspace. Okay. And also the work culture. Let's say you are working at a business and you don't really agree with the way that boss thinks, or you don't agree with some of his values or her values, and you don't think that it's a great role for you. What you should really be looking at is finding a role within that business, first of all, that is aligned to what you like to do. Okay, so just because the work culture isn't aligned to you right now, you could move into a different department in your work. And it's one of the things I did when I would buy a business, is I'd sit down with everybody and I'd try and work out their values and what they want from work, what was really important to them. And quite often I was moving people around into different things. And guess what? It unlocks them. They become a better version of themselves, less sickness. They come into work on time. So it's really important that we understand work culture. And also, if you're working from home, a home space, it's quite a funny story actually, because my wife does feng shui, and she also writes children's spiritual books as well. She does know her stuff when it comes to feng shui. And I always remember Every time she'd come in my office, I'd be startled. It was like, oh, you know, she'd creep up behind me because I'd have my back to the door. Okay. So, so it was always quite startling when my wife came in. So she said to me, look, James, I know your office looks great, but I really think we could improve it with some feng shui. So what she did, I won't go too woohoo, but there are 4 energy centers that we've all got. We've got our relationship, our health, our vision, and our wisdom. And it's really important that they're in the right places in our office. So you got, bear with me here, because it does make a difference. Okay. So we redid my desk. I don't look out of a window anymore and get distracted. You know, I'm not looking to see, oh, Amazon's here again, you know, and then I'm off. I'm set in the right way. I'm fit for work. Everything's right. I've got an uncluttered desk. It just feels better. I feel more productive. And I also work in 25-minute chunks. So 25 minutes, I'm focused on that one thing. Okay, then I take a break, 5-10 minutes, maybe meditation, maybe just to go outside, and then I go again on my next 25-minute chunk of work. And I really am, I'm there, I turn up for it. Okay, so feng shui, if you haven't done it, it will make a few degrees difference, and a few degrees does add up, a few percentage. So obviously our relationships and the people around us is really important. I'm very lucky to have a very supportive wife. She completely gets what I'm trying to do. But you might not have relatives that are really on the same wavelength as you. You might have uncles, sisters, who just think that you're wasting your time in property. You know, it never ever works. You're just going to end up with bad tenants. You have to appreciate their view on it, but you've also got to separate yourself from that. Okay, you want to have people around you that are the same frequency, and this is what we're going to move into. We're going to really get a little bit woohoo here, and I hope you stay with me. Is that, you know, our relationships, the support we get, it's to do with our frequency. It's to do with who we are and how we are showing up in the world. And scientists, they'll back me up on this, that at the very smallest point of us, we're energy. We're just frequency, we're just energy. We're just vibrating. It's true. Look it up. So really, if we are frequency, if we are, you know, vibrating, then there's obviously different levels, and we want to be as high as we can. And high frequency comes back to self-love, appreciation, doing the things that we want to do. You know, forgiveness. One of the biggest things you can do is forgiveness. Forgive people. If someone's done you wrong, shake it off. You're the only one suffering. They've probably long since forgotten. So that's how we get our frequency up. And what you'll find is that you start to notice different people with the same frequency, and you start to maybe not notice some of the lower frequencies. And that really is important, because if you're starting out with certainly service providers, if they're sort of on the same wavelength as you, the same tribe, the same vibe, it's just going to do you so good in the long run. Okay, so understand your frequency, get really buzzy, get emotion in there, get the hairs on the back of your neck going, and you will attract other people like that. Okay, very, very important that. Sorry to go a bit woohoo on you, but I do find it really, really important that we understand our frequency. Okay, let's move forward on to T, because timing. One of my favorite words is synchronicity, and it really is so obvious. We've all said it, where things turn up just at the right time. You know, it's a bit like money in a deal. Let me tell you now, it's very rare that money turns up before you need it. Okay, and if it's put together in the right package, it won't turn up late either. It will turn up exactly at the right time, because that is your thought process. That's how you think. That's what you believe. Okay, and timing, you know, if you think about the market, it's seasonal, just like nature is. You know, when we used to run our property business, we could not go like the clappers for 12 months. It's unsustainable. Growth is unsustainable. You need to understand the ups and downs of business. You need to give yourself some space, some time. And a good friend of mine used to say to me, James, chill with the still and get busy with the fizzy. You know, so you need to understand that you can't go like the clappers all the time. Understand your business, understand its seasonality, and get the timing right. Because when you get the timing right, then you start to live in this flow. We've heard this fancy word flow. When we're in our flow. Quite often, sports people talk about this flow where they don't even know what they're doing. They've just done it so many times. Their muscle memory, everything's slotting into place. Now, you can get flow in a business. You can get flow in property when you're thinking the right things, when you've got the right people around you, it's almost like an expectation that things will slot into place. There's a synchronicity to life. You know, we talk about putting it out there into the universe, but then you've got to let it happen. And it does. Suddenly you get an email out of the blue, suddenly something will happen that moves that project on. And I think one of the things that I really, really would encourage you all is not to have one project. You really should be jamming for tomorrow, really having multiple things going on, a start, a middle, and an end. Because when you've got multiple projects, it stops you staring at one, trying to make it happen, make it work. It's like staring at a kettle; it will never boil. So multiple projects, having flow, synchronicity, understanding things will hit exactly at the right time, an expectation and knowing, and it will work. And let me give you a really, really good story about this. This is going to blow your mind. This is when I really did understand about timing. So back in 2008, I had maybe 2 or 3 guys working for me. I was a self-employed courier, and I was really, really good at it. I'd get into work early, I'd leave late. My drivers were the best. You can imagine how passionate we were about delivering parcels. And then there was this opportunity where you could buy a whole depot. I didn't know you could do that. And the minute I found out, and the particular depot I was after was for sale, I'm in there like a shot. I didn't even think about the consequence of what I was just about to do. I literally knocked on the door, and good timing, I've got head of franchise and the regional manager, who rarely ever come out of their offices in Birmingham, by the way, but they did on this particular day, and they're sitting in that office. I've knocked on the door and I've said, "Hey guys, I'd like to buy the business." Okay? And they said, "Sorry, James, it's already sold." I thought, bugger. I really did think this was going to be my next move, my 10x move, where I'd gone from, just one route, another driver, one route, another driver, at 2x, that organic growth. This was a chance to own a depot. This was a 10x move, but it had already been sold. But they knew how good I was at my job. They knew that I could really make a difference. They had faith in me. So obviously that particular buyer fell through. It didn't work out. So they came to me and they said, "James, it's your lucky day. You can go ahead and apply for being a franchisee. You just need to pass all these tests. You need to go to Birmingham. You need to do a business plan. You need to have X amount of money, tens of thousands of money, and obviously you need a fleet of brand new vans as well." I said, "Yeah, no problem. I've got all of that." Ad-IEC. I didn't have any of that. Not one bit of it. But I did all their tests. I did the business plan, went up to Birmingham, said all the right things because they knew me and I was passionate. That was all they really needed. And obviously they expected me to find the money and have the vans. And the day was getting closer to me signing contracts. And it came to the Friday afternoon. I'm supposed to be taking the depot over on the Monday. Choopy of all the employees, quite serious, really. And I come into the office to sign the contracts, and they said, "Excellent, James. Well done. You've passed everything. You've just got to sign the contracts now. So if you could just confirm that you've got the money, and we can move ahead with that." And I didn't have the money. I could not raise the money. I tried everything, but I could not raise the money. Okay. And I told them, I said, "Look, guys, I'll be brutally honest with you. I'm a little bit short." How short? Pretty much all of it. And they weren't very happy with me. And they sort of looked at me and said, "You're kidding me. I've got the director he's expecting a phone call saying this is all going to go ahead." So really what I did is I put it into, I really, I created this situation where there had to be a solution. And they both looked at each other, and then they looked at me and said, we'll give you the money. And I just couldn't believe it. And I was thinking, wow. And maybe that's because I created the situation where effectively that's vendor finance. If you think about it in the property world, that's vendor finance, isn't it? Where they're going to give me the money to buy the business. And I was so relieved. I was so grateful. And I left the office and I was just buzzing. And then I remembered I don't have any vans either. I don't have a fleet of vans. And I thought, I can't go back into the office. That would be a little bit cheeky. So I literally left the office and I'm walking home and I'm going past the Mercedes dealership and they've got all these lovely vans sitting out the front and I'm like drooling at them thinking, if only. And in that moment, I thought, hang on a minute, these vans are sitting there doing nothing. Maybe, just maybe, they can give them to me. I was in that sort of mood where anything was possible. So I went into the showroom, and unbelievably, the guy that owned the business was standing there next to the service manager. So I'm talking to the service manager saying, hi, my name's James. I'm just about to be the local delivery driver franchisee. I'm sort of short of 6 vans. Is there any way I could possibly rent your vans and buy them in the future? And it literally came out of my mouth as if I just made it up. I just thought I'd just throw it out there. And Andrew Sparshats was standing there, and he just looked at he looked at me and he went, so let me get this right. You want me to give you these vans, on a rent to buy sort of, and he said, you're going to give me the price on the sticker? Yeah, I'll give you the price on the sticker. Just let me rent them until I'm in a position to buy them. And he said, go on then. And I thought I was going to cry. And I remember because all these vans, they came round on the Monday morning. And that really is the moral of the story. And it's the same with property. And it's the same as not seeing the finish line when you start something. You've got to have belief, faith in you and your ability. And if you're passionate about something and people can see that in you, maybe it's a landlord, maybe it's a vendor, things will happen for you. And they'll happen exactly at the right time. Okay? You just need to take action. You need to knock on that door. You need to go into that showroom and just start talking. Make it happen. So that is my little story on, and that's a true story. So let's have a look at the next slide, please. So, I think it's really important that we do visualize our goals and we really add emotion. And we can do that with some breathing exercises. We can do that in a meditation, which I will do and I do. And it's really important that we connect with ourselves. So just a quick slide on this. We want to visualize our goals when we're just sitting quietly. Maybe we're in nature, maybe first thing in the morning. You really want to meditate as much as you can, really get into that lovely place where you're not stressed, you're not being forced to do things you don't want to do, you've got time for yourself. And by adding emotion in there, we can really connect with our purpose and see that amazing future where, you're buzzing and you're fizzing and you can just anchor that moment, that experience. So I really do strongly recommend that you take a little screenshot of that and really get into that practice. So yeah, let's move on to the next slide because I just want to summarize really. So really, I wouldn't be the impossible coach if I didn't say that anything is possible. It truly is. I mean, Guillaume would have started out when he did Property Filter, probably thinking, oh, can I do this? Is this possible? But he believed in himself. He set that probably impossible. Think about Property Filter right now. It probably would have seemed quite impossible back in the day when he started. It's developed so much that from now to when he started, such a huge gap. He probably did think that was impossible. So I really would encourage you to think about anything is possible. Use your imagination. Hark back to when you were kids and try and get some fun and some imagination and try and see what your purpose is. Why are you here? Because you are all here for a purpose. You've all got this inner power to be an amazing version of you. Okay. And I just want to go back to driving force, because obviously that's the passion and the oomph, and that's what gets us out of bed. And when we times that by the sitting back of flow and letting things happen, the timing, I came up with this formula that you're going to be successful. It is a no-brainer. You will be successful if you really are doing what you're passionate about, and you're allowing the universe to do it, allowing other people to do their thing. You will be successful. And I really want you to move forward, taking action. And it's got to be a hell yes or a no. It's not, yeah, I suppose, no. It's got to be a hell yes or a no. Okay, that will really help you out in making sure that you don't waste your day with stuff you're not sure about doing. So, so there you go. There's a little barcode on there on the next screen. You know, that's follow me on social media. I do a motivational video on a Monday. You know, you can have a 30-minute call with me. I'm quite happy to talk to anybody for 30 minutes and really get an understanding of how I can help you. That can be quite powerful. Yeah, I mean, again, I love helping others. Service to others is why I'm here. I really do think that. And I strongly believe that everybody has a power within to be whatever they want to be. And in property, you know, create that portfolio that you dream of. Okay, so hopefully that was a good insight into mindset, and you all enjoyed that. Thank you.
James, thanks so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, this is all music to my ears, you know. I'm the living proof of all of this, you know, that all of this shit works really, you know. So so yeah, no, thank you so much. A lot of really cool sound bites here, you know. You create the situation where there is, what was it? Create the situation where there had to be a solution, you know.
Yes, yes, that takes courage.
Yeah, that's we've definitely have a few moments like this, you know, where, and then exactly what you say about what was the equation? Was it your driving force times the flow? And then
Yeah.
you get this weird phone call where you're running out of money at the end of the month, and then you got 3 months worth of runway, and they absolutely want to pay today, you know.
Yep.
There's a few things like this, you know. Definitely all of this happened. And do you think when you went to sign this contract with the, you know, to be the franchisee for the area, they would have given you the money if you had the low energy,
Not in a million years, Guillaume. I had no idea what the solution was going to be. I literally just was honest. And I suppose, you know, that's happened in property as well for me. When you're just honest with somebody, or maybe an investor, when you're honest with people, the outcome is always better than you think. So yeah, I had no idea that they've never done it since, Guillaume, I promise you.
Yeah, never again. They probably told themselves. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Let me have a look in the chat. There's some question. Great inspiration. Lots of thank yous and really good feedback. Alistair saying, wow, James, visualization of the solution is very empowering. Brilliant, James and Guillaume. Thank you so much. From Diana. Big up from the guys. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, seems let's see if there's any question, David. Thank you so much. Really appreciate starting right now with a compliment. Oh yeah, I'm definitely going out and complimenting people on their highs as of today. Yeah. Definitely awesome. I don't know if you got any if you guys have any questions. Now is a good time to ask James in the chat, and I'll have a quick look. Do you have any other anecdotes like this, James, or people that have been working with you and, you know, they had some impossible things, and then
Absolutely.
somehow the universe come back around? And
I mean, there's quite a number really. You know, some of my clients, they just come up to me and say, "Oh, you're not going to believe it. This has happened." And I go, "Well, yeah, I sort of do believe it." Because, you know, whenever you put a stake in the ground, I mean, I'll give you an example. When we book our holidays, quite often we put that stake in the diary and we say, I am going on holiday, come hell or high water. And we may or may not have the money, but we are doing it. And what always happens is you find the money for that. So whenever you put a stake in the ground, whenever you are absolutely committed to something, the money is the last thing for you to worry about. It has this attraction, this happy money. But there's plenty of people that have done stuff and they've manifested stuff. But see, manifesting is not a woo-hoo thing. It's something you do by taking action. You have to do something towards it. You know, you can wave your hand in the air all day long saying, opportunity, I'm over here, but you have to step towards it. You know, really have to just take action. And you know, for everything that I've ever done has always been a little bit of uncomfortable taking action, but it was never as bad as I thought it was going to be. Have you got something like that, game that you've done? You thought, oh, this is so scary, but then it wasn't.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, all of it. You know, like I guess we engineered our way to where we are today with burning the boat one time after another, and then I mean, I think we were close to run out of money like 5 times, and then even to this day, like we just create this environment where we have no choice, so, and then things happen, and then funny enough, every time we had these, it's when you run out of it and you think, okay, it comes, so every time, it's the urgency you create and the universe has a funny way to give you what you need at the right time, so exactly as you say, following your structure here with the timing, the flow, the synchronicity. So yeah, very much all of this shit works.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, practice this today. Everybody should be complimenting everybody they come across, writing down their goals, visualizing their future self. Look after your vehicle, your body. It's the only one you can get. And just try and understand that your frequency, the way that you present yourself, you want to be the best version of you. And it will make a difference, I promise you.
David's asking, I must admit my first thought in the morning are problems, or do I change that?
Very good question. So you just need to get into a habit. Quite often it's just a case of changing habit. So mobile phones away. Flight mode, wherever it is, we do not look at our mobile phones when we wake up. I want you to have some water by your bed. You should always wake up and drink water because it's really good for you. So it's about building a habit, and that happens obviously the night before. So make sure that you go to bed early, you get some good rest. You've had a meditation before you go to bed. I do a journal, so I write down the things that I'm grateful for. I call it the 4-2-1 journal. 4 things you're grateful for. 2 things that you are send love and healing to others. Maybe you got a friend of yours who's not very well. I send love and healing to blah blah blah. And then the last one is a desire. I want and desire. I want, not need. Need means it's coming from a lack. Want is I just want it. So I write down what I want. So 4-2-1, meditation, water by my bedside, phone off. And when I open my eyes, I'm grateful to have another day of opportunity. I can't wait to get out there. Do that for 21 days and it'll make a massive difference. Okay?
Yeah, it's really awesome. Thank you so much. Anthony's asking, how do you know the difference between fear and intuition?
That's a tricky one. Okay, so, that's really good. I suppose that's the senses, my intuition. I can feel when something's right. Fear, sometimes that's the monkey mind, the ego, the thing that's sort of, oh yeah, we don't want change, because change means uncomfortable and we don't want uncomfortable. So sometimes I recognize my monkey mind, the one that wants me to sit on the sofa and eat popcorn. So really it's about a feel as opposed to fear. Okay, so I would just question the no's. That's a good one, that is. I did that for quite a long time. Whenever you go straight to no, question that. Go yes instead.
Yeah. With intuition, I find there's a lot of the time they are empowered by conviction, so when you are certain about you're certain about some things and the universe will materialize and thoughts become things kind of thing. So yeah. I find the fear is when there's not enough input to take the decision or things like that, and then the intuition will come and either confirm or infirm a persuasion or something I'm sure about.
I know what I would do. I would say, right, what am I fearing? Is it fear of failure? Because not starting something is a failure. So when you start something, if you're worried about failing, it's going to fail either way. And failure lives right next door to innovation. So if it's a fear of failing, do it. Because you're failing anyway by not doing it.
Yeah. Awesome. Christine is asking, how do I conquer imposter syndrome? Very good question.
Say that again.
How do I conquer imposter syndrome?
Okay, so yeah, everybody gets that. Again, it's about working on yourself. It's about you understanding your power and that you have a right in the world to do what you want to do. As long as you're passionate about what you're doing. Imposter syndrome, everybody gets it.
Yeah.
There's not one person I don't know that just before they go out onto stage, maybe it's to 10 people, maybe it's to 1,000 people, they all question themselves. So what I do is I just understand that I have a purpose. I want to help others. I want to get out of my own way. And by working on my development, then you just become, more frequency, more power, and you become less, shut that voice up. That voice is less and less in my head the more I work on me. So it's not, everybody gets imposter syndrome. Guillaume gets it, I imagine, sometimes. Everybody gets it, but it's only in a small amount when you work on yourself enough. Okay, so accept it, but just quieten it by working on yourself, your development.
Yeah, no one started where they ended, So
True.
everybody has been to either to learn how to walk, either to learn how to ride a bike, either to learn anything, So and then growth is outside the comfort zone. So I think if you get used to grow, to step outside a little bit every time, I find this fades away, because then you just live in this state of growth, and then this is what you do,
habits.
And it's understanding that no one's better, like everyone is on a journey, as you were, and people are maybe on a different pedestal because you've gone through the steps. So it's just a matter of going through the steps yourself as well, and no one was born with what they are now. So everybody is on a, I guess I don't really like the term journey, but everybody is on a, they're through on a voyage, if you like, on a journey or something of some sort. So I think it's just evolution and growth. Yeah.
Own your own space. You are as important as everybody else. We are all equal. So you just, there's no, less or worse. I would say that, you need to own your power. Once you give your power over to somebody else, once somebody else is making decisions for you, that can be not a good place to be. So understand your power and own your own space. You are a very, very important person in the world, just as important as everybody else. Just say that to yourself. Appreciation, love yourself. That's what
you're the best person at being yourself, no one can beat you to it. So the only person you sort of competing is this idea maybe of future self, if you have this vision and you want to do this work. But I mean, I think everybody's got this, but everybody, if you do a little bit of this exercise James talks about, you just outlive all this thing, This is just
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks so much, James. Do you have a sort of a closing sentiment for us today?
Just really work on yourselves. Really work on who you are and how others see you. Okay, so and just turn up in the world and be the best version of you. Okay, whatever you set your mind to, when you're passionate about it, you will achieve it. And put yourself in uncomfortable situations, and I promise you will grow and be the best version of you. Okay, that would be my closing thing. Scare yourself.
Yeah. James, thanks so much. Thank you everyone for joining us on today's Deal Finder Corner. So do take on James's offer. Have a look at this QR code we had earlier. You can find it again on the recording. So if you connect with James, have a conversation with him on the link, if that's, I think that's really valuable. And this will probably help, hopefully today help you discover your true purpose and you gain clarity on your goals and things like that. So do check out the Impossible Coach.co.uk, I believe, where you can see more of James' work. So Thanks so much, James. In the meantime, guys, visit propertyfilter.co.uk, log on to your Property Filter account, check out the deal blueprint where you can define your goldmine area, engage with motivated sellers, assess properties in seconds, load your pipeline and make deals. Have an endless supply of deals, join the top 1% and become a high achiever deal finder. I hope you enjoyed today's Deal Finder Corner like I did, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much.